Welcome to this 1-hour English fluency masterclass to help you become fluent. Now, to become fluent in English, you have to know how to use all the confusing word pairs in English, all the confusing grammar rules, and all the confusing vocabulary like phrasal verbs. And that's exactly what you'll do by the end of this masterclass. You'll feel more fluent and more advanced in English. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, let's review some confusing English grammar rules, but we're going to do this as a quiz. So you're going to see a sentence and you will see different options and you need to choose the best option. Let's get started with question 1. To text Sue. It's her birthday today. The correct answer is C. Don't forget to text Sue. It's her birthday today. The key word in this question is to, which is the infinitive to text. Now, there's only one possible option in the choices below where you can have the infinitive, and that's C. Don't forget to text. Now, if this question didn't have to and it was just the base verb, well, then A, B, and D would be correct and C would be incorrect. Question 2. Mary went jogging today of the rain. The correct answer is B, in spite of the rain. And that's your key word here, of. In spite of and despite have the same meaning, but you don't say despite of. You just say despite. If you want to learn more about this, I have a full lesson explaining this. I'll leave the link in the description below. Question 3. I think I'm allergic to your cat. I can't stop. The correct answer is B, sneezing. Now this is a tricky one because you can have grammatically stop plus infinitive, stop to sneeze, and you can have stop plus gerund, stop sneezing. But the meaning is different. When we're talking about no longer doing an action, we use stop plus gerund. And based on the context of the question, we're talking about no longer doing an action, so we need the gerund. If you want to learn more about this, I'll leave a link in the description below. Question 4. If you don't know the meaning of a word, you can in a dictionary. And the answer is C. You can look it up in the dictionary. Now this one is a vocabulary question because you need to understand what these expressions mean. To look something up is another way to say to search for or to find that specific information. Now we use this all the time because every time you Google, you're looking up information. So I use this expression literally every single day. Hey, what time does the restaurant close? Can you look it up? I don't know. Can you look it up? Oh, we need to look it up. We should look that up. You'll use this every single day. Question 5. My doctor, me, I should exercise more. And the answer is A. My doctor told me I should exercise more. Now this is one that students confuse a lot. I hear students say told to me, I told to her. No, that doesn't work grammatically. We don't want to someone. Get rid of that to. I told her, I told you, she told me. So that's what we need. And also I hear students say me. She said me to exercise more. No, we don't want me after said. She said I should exercise more. We want a clause after said. If you want to learn more about this, I have a full video explaining it. You can find the link in the description below. Question 6, my boss me to her dinner party. And the answer is B. My boss invited me to her dinner party. Now this one is both a vocabulary question because the only logical choice is invite, but it's also because of sentence structure. We could change the sentence structure and make it work. For example, my boss suggested that I come to her dinner party. We could say that, but I'd have to completely change the sentence structure. So all the options could work if we change the sentence structure. The only logical choice with the sentence structure is B. My boss invited me because you invite someone to something. My boss invited me to the movies, to her house, to the restaurant, a specific location. Now, if you want to learn more about suggested, because a lot of students say suggested me, which isn't correct, I'll leave a link to a video on that topic in the description below. Question 7. Sorry, I didn't quite what you said. And the answer is A. Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. This is an expression. To catch something in this context is the exact same as hear. I didn't hear what you said. But notice option D is in the past form, and that doesn't work grammatically. So it has the same meaning, but it's the wrong verb tense. So A, catch, is exactly the same. Now, this is an expression you can use all the time, especially since you probably struggle to understand native speakers. So if somebody says something to you and you don't quite catch it, you can say, sorry, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. I didn't quite catch that. Quite is just a word we add to mean a little bit. I didn't quite catch that. So add that to your vocabulary. You'll use it all the time. Question 8. I don't sleep in now, but I sleep in until noon on weekends. And the answer is B. I used to. I used to sleep in on weekends. Now notice all the options are slightly different sentence structures, and they're all grammatically correct if you use the correct meaning. But for here, we're talking about an action that used to take place in the past. So an action you routinely did in the past, but you no longer do now. And for that, we need use with a D. You don't hear it in pronunciation, but it's there in spelling. I used to work at the bank, but now I work at the mall. So a routine action in the past, but you no longer do it now. Students confuse this sentence structure all the time. I have a detailed lesson on this. You'll find the link in the description below. Question 9. I don't need help, but thanks. And the answer is, but thanks for offering. Thanks for offering. Thanks for offering. This is one that I hear a lot of mistakes with as well. Now notice here, I have thanks for. After for, because for is a preposition, you must use the gerund verb, for offering. Thanks for, and then you can use a gerund verb, or you can use a noun. Thanks for your help. Thanks for the offer, your offer. Thanks for offering. And your final question, number 10. The film sounded interesting, but it, to be really boring. And the answer is D. It turned out to be really boring. This is a vocabulary question because you need to understand what these expressions mean. We use to turn out when we're talking about the end result of something. So let's say you're trying a new recipe and it's for chocolate chip cookies. You've never made this recipe before. Your friend could say, how did the recipe turn out? How did the cookies turn out? Your friend is asking about the end result. Basically, your friend is asking, were they good? Were they bad? How did the recipe turn out? And you could reply, oh, it was awesome. They were delicious. The best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had. And in this context, they're talking about the movie's end result. How did the movie turn out? It was really boring. It turned out to be really boring. So, how did you do with the quiz? Put your score in the comments below. And if you learned some new expressions or new sentence structure, make sure you practice your new expressions or sentence structure in the comments below as well so you get really comfortable and confident with them. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Now let's move on and test your vocabulary to see if you know these advanced words. So here's how the test is going to work. You're going to see a sentence and there's going to be a blank, a missing word. And then you're going to be given two options, option A, option B. And then you have to decide which option completes the sentence. Now, when I give you the options, I'll give you 3 seconds. Of course, that isn't very long, right? So feel free to hit pause, take as much time as you need, and then hit play when you're ready to see the answer. Sound good? Are you ready to start the quiz? Let's go with question number 1. Do you think the discount will the client? Which option, A or B? I'll give you 3 seconds. Appease the client. Appease is a verb. We use this when you want to give someone something they want in order to make them happy or in order to prevent further disagreement. So I'm giving them a discount to make them happy. It will appease them. Now, if you said B, appeal, keep in mind that appeal has a very similar meaning. It means to be attractive to, but grammatically, the sentence is incorrect because if you use appeal, it's appeal to the client. And because I don't have the preposition to, B is an incorrect option grammatically. Question 2. She's a very employee. Option 1, option 2. The correct answer is A, diligent. She's a very diligent employee. To be diligent, this means to be careful or using a lot of effort and attention to detail. For example, I worked diligently on the report all week. So notice in this case, it's an adverb, diligently. I worked diligently on the report all week. Question 3. Sorry, I can't help. I'm at math. A or B? B, inept. I'm inept at math. To be inept at something, this means to not be skilled or to be ineffective at something. I'm inept at math. Number 4, she's the most member of our team. A or B? A, gregarious. B is incorrect grammatically. We can't say most great. You would say greatest, right? So grammatically, B doesn't work. A, gregarious. To be gregarious, when someone is described as gregarious, it means that they're very social. They enjoy being around other people. So what about you? Let us know in the comments. Would you describe yourself as a gregarious person? Do you enjoy being around other people? Are you very social? Let us know in the comments so you can practice that word. Number 5, we need to with the accounting department. A or B? The answer is B, follow up with. Grammatically, A is incorrect. You don't follow out with someone. You follow up with someone. And this means that you continue a discussion or conversation that was previously started. I could say I already followed up with the accounting department. I already continued the conversation we had previously started. Number 6, that's a difficult concept to A or B? B, to grasp. When you grasp something, it simply means that you understand it. So it's the same as saying that's a difficult concept to understand. That's a difficult concept to grasp. Number 7, you should all your debt to reduce your interest rate. A or B? B, consolidate. Consolidate. When you consolidate 2 or more things, it means you combine them together. So if I said the 2 firms consolidated last year, this means that last year there was firm A, firm B, but now because they consolidated, there's one firm. So the 2 become 1. Consolidate. Number 8, the book discusses his illness and resignation from politics. A or B? A, subsequent. His subsequent resignation from politics. This has a simple meaning. Subsequent just means something that comes after something else. So first he had his illness, and after he resigned, his subsequent resignation, his resignation that came after his illness. We commonly use this as an adverb to start a sentence. So I could say, he moved to Australia. Subsequently, he got married. And I'm using subsequently to let you know that he got married after something else. And that something else is after he moved to Australia. He moved to Australia, subsequently, he got married. Number 9. He gets stressed out when he's A or B? The correct answer has to be B, under pressure, because over pressure is the wrong preposition. The preposition you need is under pressure, to be under pressure. And that's simply when you have a lot of work and you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed out. You can use this positively and say, I work really well under pressure. So when I have a lot of work, I actually perform better, not worse. I work really well under pressure. Number 10, women face a lot of in the workplace. A or B? Well, ostrich is a bird. So women don't face a lot of ostriches in the workplace. They face a lot of obstacles. An obstacle is something that blocks you, and it can be something physical like a roadblock, or it can be something non-physical like discrimination. So it's something that blocks you from making progress. That's an obstacle. Number 11, thank you for your remark. A or B? The answer is B, pertinent. Pertinent remark. When something is pertinent, it means it's relevant to the topic or discussion at hand. So let's say you're having a conversation and then someone raises a point and you think the point is very relevant to the topic or conversation, you can say, that's pertinent. That's pertinent. That's relevant, related to our topic at hand. Number 12, you can that to the interns. A or B? B, delegate. You can delegate that to the interns. When you delegate something is when you give someone else responsibility for a task or a specific job. So when you're doing a task that you really don't want to be doing, you can say, I wish I had someone to delegate this to. I wish I had someone who I could give this task to. Number 13, I have a really workload this month. A or B? A, heavy. B is a direct translation. It's not something that we use in natural English. It sounds awkward and unnatural. A, heavy, is the adjective that we use to describe our workload. When your workload is heavy, it simply means you have a lot of work to do. And what's the opposite of heavy? The opposite is light, right? Light. So when you don't have a lot of work to do, you would say, I have a light workload. Heavy workload, light workload. So what about you? How would you describe your workload right now? Would you say it's heavy or light? Let us know in the comments so you practice this new expression. Number 14, the police have been unable to what caused the explosion? A or B? B, ascertain, ascertain. When you ascertain something, you discover something. So to ascertain the cause of the explosion is to discover the cause of the explosion, to understand why. So when the police do understand why, they discover it, they can say, we've finally ascertained what caused the explosion. It was a faulty gas line. And then they can tell you the cause of the explosion. And finally, your last question in the quiz, number 15. You've been all week. Just do it already. A or B? The answer is B, procrastinating. You've been procrastinating all week. When you procrastinate, it means that you delay doing something, but that something has to be done, and you delay doing it. And why? Well, generally because it's unpleasant, like chores around the house, cleaning the garage, cleaning the bathroom, doing the dishes, it's unpleasant. Or it's simply boring, like organizing your closet or filing your paperwork. So you delay doing it, but it has to be done. That's procrastinating. So how'd you do on the quiz? Was it easy for you? Was it difficult for you? Either way, you've just added 15 new words to your vocabulary, so have fun practicing these new words. Let us know in the comments how you did, and the ones you got wrong, choose 1, 2, or 3 of them and practice them in the comments so you get comfortable with them and you can add it to your new vocabulary. Now let's keep going and test your vocabulary again to see if you know these confusing words. So here's how this video is going to work. I'm going to show you a sentence and you're going to have 2 options and you have to decide which option correctly completes the sentence. Now I'll only show the sentence for a couple seconds. So make sure you hit pause, take your time to read it, to answer it, and then hit play and I'll show you the answer and I'll explain why that answer is correct. Are you ready to go? Number 1, there were people at the party than I had expected. The answer is fewer. There were fewer people at the party than I had expected. And the reason is we use fewer with countable nouns. You can count how many people there are. But we use less with uncountable nouns. So I could say there was less rain. You can't count rain. There was less rain this year compared to last year. Number 2, I'm just in the of a big project. And the answer is midst. This is a tricky one simply because of pronunciation. When you hear this in spoken English, I'm in the midst of a big project, it's easy to confuse this with mist. And to be in the midst of something is simply to be in the middle of something. So I'm in the middle of a big project. Number 3, wow, that shirt really, your hair. And the answer is compliments with an E. These 2 words sound exactly the same in pronunciation. It's spelling that is different, but they have different meanings. Compliment in this example is when one thing, your shirt, combines really well with another thing, your hair. Compliment with an I is when you say something nice to someone. I love your shirt. Thanks for the compliment. If you want to learn more about compliment and compliment, you can look in the description for a link on a video on that topic. Number 4, that movie had quite an on me. The answer is effect. It had quite an effect on me. The pronunciation is very similar. Effect, effect. There's a slight difference, but the spelling is important because affect is a verb and effect is a noun. And we need a noun. You know that because there's an article in the sentence. With the verb, I could say that movie affected me. If you want to learn more about affect and effect, you can look in the description for a link on that. Number 5, quizzes are a great way to your skills. To hone your skills. Again, similar in pronunciation, but the correct choice is hone. This is an expression to hone one's skills. This is simply to improve one's skills. Number 6, I didn't know at the party. I didn't know anybody at the party. Didn't is negative. In the English language, we do not like double negatives. You can only use one negative in a clause. And since I already have didn't, I can't use the negative nobody. I have to use anybody. Number 7, I don't like carrots. I don't like carrots either. Now, this is the same as number 6 because I don't is a negative. Neither is also a negative, so we can't use it. We want either. I don't like carrots either. To use neither, I could say, you don't like carrots? Neither do I. Neither do I. If you want to learn more about either and neither, you can look in the description for a video I created on this. And number 8, she has more, she needs. She has more than she needs. Similar in pronunciation than, then, but they're two totally different words. Than we use in comparisons, more than, less than, fewer than, comparisons. Then is an adverb. It's used in time references. First, I'll eat lunch, then I'll go for a walk. Number 9, joining social clubs is, for all purposes, the solution to loneliness. For all intents and purposes. This is an expression in English, for all intents and purposes. This simply means in almost every situation, in virtually every situation. But when you say this at a natural pace, for all intents and purposes, it sounds like intensive. Intensive is a word that people are very familiar with. Intense and is not something that people are familiar with, but the correct expression is intense and purposes. This is a very useful business or academic expression. It isn't really used in casual conversation too much. Number 10, we can discuss this after the meeting. We can discuss this further after the meeting. Further and farther both mean more. We can discuss this more in more detail after the meeting. We use further when we're talking about figurative, and we use farther when we're talking about literal. For example, we need to walk farther. We literally need to walk more. We need to walk farther to see the waterfall. If you want to learn more about this, look in the description for a link on a separate video. Number 11, you can down here. You can lie down here. Lay and lie, they have the same meaning, but lay is transitive. It needs an object. For example, lay the baby down here. Lay the blanket down here. You lay something. But lie is intransitive, so there's no object. Lie down here. Lie yourself down here. Lie down here. Number 12, that sweater is too for you. That sweater is too loose for you. This one is confusing because of the spelling. Do I need one O or two? It's easy to forget. Lose with one O is the opposite of win. Did you lose the game? Did you win the game? Did you lose the game? Loose with two O's, when we're talking about clothing, is when it doesn't fit closely to your body. So this shirt I'm wearing is not loose. It fits closely to my body. But this sweater, for example, is loose. Number 13, we should worked harder. We should have worked harder. Now, this is a mistake that many native speakers make because in spoken English, we take have, which is the grammatically correct choice, but we reduce it. We say it quickly and it sounds like of. You should have. You should have. You should have worked harder. So sometimes native speakers forget that it's actually have and not of, because that's what it sounds like in spoken English. So in spoken English, you can absolutely say you should have. You should have worked harder. But in written English, just remember that the correct choice is have. Number 14, I shouldn't have to the party. I shouldn't have gone to the party. Our verb here is go. The past simple is went, and the past participle is gone. This structure requires the past participle, the third form of the verb. Yesterday, I went to the party. I've gone to 3 parties this month. And finally, number 15, do you trust the most? Whom do you trust the most? Who and whom, it can be very tricky for students and native speakers to know the difference. Just ask yourself, do you need she or her? Do you need a subject or an object? She or her, he or him? I trust her the most. We need an object, not a subject, so you use whom. Who is your friend? She is my friend. In this case, we need a subject, so we use who. So how'd you do with this quiz? Share your score in the comments below. And if you got any wrong, don't worry. Just do some practice sentences. And remember to look in the description because I shared many links to other videos that go into more depth on these confusing words. Are you ready for your next test? Now let's test your knowledge of advanced phrasal verbs. Question 1, please bear me while I look up your file. Now I'm only going to give you 3 seconds for every question, so hit pause and take as much time as you need to review the question. Please bear with me while I look up your file. Question 2, the phrasal verb to attend to means to attend to means to work on. Remember, I'm going to explain what every single phrasal verb means in detail with examples after the quiz. Number 3, why are you so angry? You need to cool. You need to cool down. Number 4, the phrasal verb for repair is fix up. Number 5, the phrasal verb for to discuss something so you can reach an agreement is to hash out. Number 6, if someone is being too serious, you can tell them to lighten up. Lighten up. You're being too serious. Lighten up. Number 7, after years of studying English, my hard work has finally paid. My hard work has finally paid off. Number 8, we shouldn't rule out a graphic designer. We shouldn't rule out hiring a graphic designer. Number 9, my boss for being late again. My boss chewed me out for being late again. And number 10, let's give everyone a few minutes before we begin to settle in. So, how did you do with that quiz? Was it easy, difficult? Share your score in the comments below. And now I'm going to explain every single phrasal verb in detail. So let's do that now. to bear with someone. This is a very common phrasal verb. It has a simple meaning. It means to be patient with someone. So we use this a lot with customer service representatives or anytime someone is providing you with a service. Now, it's very common when that person is providing you with that service to say, please bear with me. Please bear with me. Please be patient. So notice our verb tense, that's in the imperative, So we're starting with the base verb. Now, if you use this verb in other verb tenses, it's an irregular verb. The past simple is bore, and the past participle is, any idea? It's born. That's right, born. With an optional E for spelling, but pronunciation is exactly the same. In the past simple, you could say, I bore with him for 20 minutes. I was patient with him for 20 minutes. And in the past participle, you can use this in the present perfect. You might say, I've borne with you for 20 minutes. Our next phrasal verb is to attend to. Now notice we're using the verb attend. And I could say, last night I attended the party. But that's not a phrasal verb. That's just a regular verb because I don't have a preposition. I attended the party. I went to the party. But if we use the phrasal verb attend to, the meaning is different. I could say I attended to the party. Now, in this case, this means that I worked on or I paid attention to the party. So how could you work on a party? Well, you could work on organizing a party. So organizing all the details, sending out the invitations, buying the food, cleaning the apartment, getting the decorations. I attended to the party. So pay attention because the verb attend and the phrasal verb attend to have different meanings. Our next phrasal verb, to cool down. To cool down. We use this when someone is really angry, upset, or frustrated, and you want them to relax. You can say, cool down, cool down. So let's say a client has been sending you a lot of emails and you're feeling really angry, irritated, annoyed, frustrated with that client. But before you call that client, you should definitely cool down. You need to take a minute and relax because you don't want to call that client when you're angry and frustrated and annoyed. You need to cool down, relax, chill. Our next phrasal verb, to fix something up. When you fix something up, it means you repair it or you change it in order to improve it. Now, in this case, when you change it, it's not necessarily broken. It could be that it's functioning, but you want to improve it. So you make some changes to it. You fix it up. So for example, I could say Sally loves fixing up old cars in her free time. Fixing up old cars. So she repairs them, but it could also mean that she just changes them. Maybe the car is working perfectly, but she changes it. She changes the color or she adds something to it. She fixes it up. Now, this is a very common phrasal verb around the house because there's always something to fix up, right? To change, to repair, to improve. Our next phrasal verb, to hash something out. When you hash something out, it means you talk about something specific with other people, and you do that because you want to get agreement. You want to get agreement on the details. So you can use this when you're planning a conference, planning a party, planning a project, any kind of event. And of course, with a project or conference, there are many details. The date, the time, who's doing what, So you need to hash out those details. You need to talk about them to get agreement. Okay, we agreed to the time of the conference. We hashed it out. We hashed out the time of the conference. Our next phrasal verb, to lighten up. Now remember, I already taught you to cool down, and that's when you're really angry, frustrated, annoyed, and you want to relax. Well, when you tell someone to lighten up, you also want them to relax, but they're not angry, frustrated, or annoyed. They're just being too serious. That's it. They're being too serious. They don't have a sense of humor. So maybe you were joking around with a coworker and they took it too seriously. And you just wanted to have some fun and joke around, but they're too serious. So you might say, lighten up, laugh a little, smile a little. You're too serious. So someone who's always like this, they're not smiling, they're not laughing, they're just always very serious. You might want to tell that person to lighten up, smile, relax, laugh. But just remember, it isn't the same as cool down, because cool down, you're angry and annoyed. Lighten up, you're too serious. That's the difference between the two. Our next phrasal verb, to pay off. Now, when something pays off, it means that you see the benefit of the something. So let's say you spent the last month at home studying for a big exam, and you took the exam and you passed. You got a really high mark. You can say, all my studying paid off. So remember, something pays off. All my studying paid off. I now see the benefit of all the studying I did. So we use this a lot for any kind of work or effort that you put in. Now, it can be mental work for studying for your job, but it can also be physical work as well. So all your dieting, your exercising paid off because now you lost weight, you're stronger, you see the benefit of all your work. So we can use this with both mental work and physical work. Our next phrasal verb, to rule out. We use this when something prevents something else from happening. So a classic example, we have COVID and we have traveling. Now, COVID is preventing traveling from happening, right? So we can say COVID ruled out traveling, right? COVID prevented traveling. COVID ruled out traveling. Our next phrasal verb, to chew someone out. To chew someone out. This is when you tell someone that they've done something wrong, but you tell them angrily. So you don't tell them calmly, you made a mistake, you shouldn't have done that. No, you're angry. So you might yell a little, you might use language that you normally wouldn't. You're angry, somebody did something wrong, and you tell them. So maybe your boss chewed you out because you were late for an important meeting. So your boss was not calm, your boss was angry. Why were you late? You shouldn't have been late. Why haven't I fired you yet? He chews you out. Or maybe you're on a sports team and your coach chewed you out because you missed an important practice. Now, if somebody chews you out and they're really angry, what phrasal verb goes with that? Phrasal verb that we've already learned. Cool down, right? Because if somebody's angry, why were you late? You can say, cool down, relax. And then you can explain why you were late. Our final phrasal verb, to settle in. When you settle in, it means you get comfortable in a new environment. And that new environment is generally a new house, a new school, a new workplace, and of course, at the beginning, you're not comfortable just because everything is new, right? But then you need some time to settle in. So settle in just means to get comfortable in a new environment. So let's say you move to a new city and a few weeks later, a friend could ask you, oh, have you settled in? Have you settled in? So they're just asking you, do you feel comfortable in your new city? And then you might reply back and say, yeah, I've settled in, or no, I haven't settled in yet. Now that you know how to use all of these phrasal verbs, how about we do the exact same quiz from the very beginning, and you can compare your score from the first time to this time. So let's do that quiz again now. Question 1, please bear me while I look up your file. Please bear with me while I look up your file. Question 2, the phrasal verb to attend to means to work on. Number 3, why are you so angry? You need to cool. You need to cool down. Number 4, the phrasal verb for repair is? The phrasal verb for repair is fix up. Number 5, the phrasal verb for to discuss something so you can reach an agreement is to hash out. To hash out. Number 6, if someone is being too serious, you can tell them to lighten up. Lighten up. You're being too serious. Lighten up. Number 7, after years of studying English, my hard work has finally paid. My hard work has finally paid off. Number 8, we shouldn't rule out a graphic designer. We shouldn't rule out hiring a graphic designer. Number 9, my boss for being late again. My boss chewed me out for being late again. And number 10, let's give everyone a few minutes to before we begin. To settle in. Was it easier this time? I'm sure it was. Did your score improve? Share your score in the comments below. You're doing amazing. This is your final test, and we're going to test your knowledge of common phrasal verbs. Question 1, the phrasal verb used to invite someone on a romantic date is... Now, I'm only going to give you 3 seconds for each question, so hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready, hit play to see the answer. The phrasal verb is to ask out. Question 2, if you like a genre of music, you can say, I'm really country music. I'm really into country music. Remember, I'm going to explain every single phrasal verb in detail, so don't worry if this test is difficult. Number 3, if a movie made you sad, you can say, that movie really me down. That movie really brought me down. Number 4, if you think someone should be happier, you can say cheer up, cheer up. Number 5, do you have time to the dry cleaning on your way home? Do you have time to pick up? Number 6, you see that box? Can you, at the post office, can you drop it off? Number 7, we ended up at home. We ended up staying at home. Number 8, which phrasal verb is used to reject someone or something? To turn down. Number 9, when you complete a form, you can use both fill in and fill out. This is true. Number 10, how did you that Maria was fired? How did you find out? So how did you do with that quiz? Was it easy or difficult? Share your score in the comments, and now I'll explain every phrasal verb in detail with example sentences. Number 1, to ask someone out. Now pay attention to the sentence structure because notice here I'm using someone. You only ask someone out. You don't ask something out. And here's the reason why. When you ask someone out, it's to invite them on a romantic evening together, also known as a date. So to ask someone out, you invite them on a date. A date is a romantic evening spent with someone. Of course, it doesn't have to be an evening. It could be a morning coffee date or an afternoon date as well. But I just said evening because most of the time it is in the evening. So let me give you an example sentence. Why hasn't Jim asked Maria out yet? He's obviously into her. So notice here, why hasn't Jim asked Maria out? Ask someone out. Our someone is Maria. Now, of course, you need the subject who's doing the action. So Jim is inviting Maria on a date. A date is always romantic, right? Now, Maria could say no, and we're going to talk about that later on in one of our phrasal verbs. So let me give you that example again. Why hasn't Jim asked Maria out yet? He's obviously into her. Now you might be wondering, Jennifer, what does that mean? He's obviously into her. Well, that's our next phrasal verb, to be into someone, to be into someone. Now here, I'll point out that you can also be into something. But first, let's talk about to be into someone. When you're into someone, I'm sure you notice based on the context, but it means to like someone romantically. Now, the context is really important because I'm going to give you a musician who I'm really into. I'm really into Jack Johnson. Now, when I say that, oh, I'm really into Jack Johnson, I don't like Jack Johnson romantically, although he is pretty cute, I guess, but I don't like him romantically, but I really like his music. So if you use into someone, it depends on the context, but there is this meaning of liking. And for the most part, that liking is romantic. So if I said, Jim is into Maria, he likes her romantically. But if I'm talking about being into a celebrity or a musician, an actor, it's possible that I just like them, but not necessarily romantically. So keep that in mind. Now remember I said you could also be into something. Now in this case, we're talking about liking something, and it's usually an activity or a hobby. So I was really into Jack Johnson when I was really into playing ukulele and playing guitar. Jack Johnson is an amazing musician. He plays guitar and he plays ukulele. So I was really into him and mainly when I was into playing ukulele and playing guitar. Those are two activities I don't really do much anymore, simply because I don't have time. It isn't a priority for me to do those activities right now at this stage in my life. Although one day I would definitely like to do them again. Now, so you could talk about any hobby or activity. Oh, I'm really into going hiking. I'm really into playing video games. So we use this with hobbies and activities mainly. Our next phrasal verb, to bring someone down. To bring someone down is to make someone unhappy. But there's that transition because that person was happy and then something happened to bring them down and now they're not happy, or they're at least less happy than they were before. So I could say that movie really brought me down. Now notice here, my subject is the movie. The movie brought me down. I could also use a person. My boss brought me down. So something or someone can bring someone down. That movie brought me down. So I was happy, and then I watched the movie, and now I'm not happy or I'm less happy. Probably because the movie was very sad or depressing, something like that. Number 4, to cheer up. So you can think of this as the opposite. To cheer someone up is to make them happier. Now we commonly use this in the imperative. Cheer up. Cheer up, Julie. Cheer up. Don't be sad. Cheer up. So we commonly use this in the imperative, but you can use it in other ways. For example, I could say, I took my friend out to lunch to cheer her up. To cheer her up. So that's the reason why. I wanted to make her happier. To cheer her up. Number 5, to pick someone or something up. This is one of the most common phrasal verbs. You probably know it. But did you know you can also pick something up? You pick someone up and you also pick something up. And that's when you take an object or a person from one location to another location. So of course you might know it in the sense of, I pick my kids up after school. Or I pick my husband up after work, right? That's probably how you know it. But you can use it with a something. Maybe your husband could call you and say, oh, hey, can you pick milk up on your way home? Can you pick milk up? So you're going to go to a location, the store, get milk, and take it to another location, your home. Can you pick milk up on your way home? It's very common to get a call from someone and they ask you, oh, hey, can you pick this up? Can you pick this up on your way home? And that something is a grocery item or something for your home. So now you know how to use it with a someone and a something. And what's the opposite of to pick someone up? Well, it's to drop someone off. And you can also drop something off. When you drop someone or something off, it's to leave someone or something at a specific location. So of course you could say, I dropped my husband off at work. I dropped my friend off at the airport. Now, you might also ask someone, can you drop this letter off on your way to work? So they take the letter and they leave it somewhere in a different location, the post office or a mailbox. Can you drop this letter off on your way to work? Number 7, to end up. To end up is a very useful phrasal verb. We use it to say that you eventually do something or eventually decide something. So you might say, I ended up asking Julie out. I ended up asking Julie out. Who was our first example? I can't remember. Oh, it wasn't Julie. It was Jim and Maria. So let me give that again. Jim ended up asking Maria out. So remember before I said, why hasn't Jim asked Maria out yet? So now remember, to end up, that's to eventually do something. So after a period of time. So Jim ended up asking Maria out, but she turned him down. Remember I said at the beginning, I'm going to teach you a phrasal verb if Maria, I was going to say Julie again, if Maria says no, well, that's to turn someone down. That's our next phrasal verb, to turn someone down. Now you can also turn something down. Can you think of something that you might say no to? How about a job offer? Something like that. So to turn someone down, to turn something down, is when you receive an invitation or a proposal to do something and you say no. You decline, you refuse, you reject, you say no. So Maria turned Jim down. Now you might also say, I was turned down for the job. I was turned down. Now you could turn that into an active sentence. They turned me down. I was turned down by the company. They turned me down. So in this specific phrasal verb, it is commonly used in the passive. So I would get comfortable with the passive, but you can use it in the active, of course, as well. Number 9, to fill in or to fill out forms. Okay, so notice here I gave you 2 prepositions. I know students get confused. What's the difference between fill in and fill out? There is no difference. So specifically with forms, that's the only time that there is no difference. When you're entering information into a form, you're filling in that form. You're also filling out that form. It doesn't matter which preposition you use. And honestly, I use both of them interchangeably. So I just change between fill in, fill out. I use both, and you can too. So if you go to an office, they might say, after you fill in this form, or after you fill out this form, drop it off at reception. Notice, drop it off at reception. So take it to reception and leave it there. Drop it off at reception. Our final phrasal verb, to find out. To find out is when you understand something, you learn something, or you discover something. So maybe, going back to our character Jim, so maybe Jim could say, how did you find out that Maria turned me down? So maybe Jim is a little embarrassed. He thought this was just a secret, nobody knew. But then a friend tried to cheer him up because he knew Maria turned him down after he asked her out. Notice all our phrasal verbs. So Jim could say, how did you find out that Maria turned me down? So how did you discover this? How did you learn this? How did you find this out? And we use this when you want to get information as well. So I might say, I need to find out when the store closes because I have a package I need to drop off. But I don't know when they close. I need to find that out. So learn or discover that specific information. So now that you understand all of these phrasal verbs, how about we do the quiz from the beginning again? And then you can compare your score from the first time to the second time. So let's do that same quiz now. Question 1. The phrasal verb used to invite someone on a romantic date is... The phrasal verb is to ask out. Question 2. If you like a genre of music, you can say, I'm really country music. I'm really into country music. Number 3, if a movie made you sad, you can say, that movie really me down. That movie really brought me down. Number 4, if you think someone should be happier, you can say cheer up, cheer up. Number 5, do you have time to the dry cleaning on your way home? Do you have time to pick up? Number 6, you see that box? Can you at the post office? Can you drop it off? Number 7, we ended up at home. We ended up staying at home. Number 8, which phrasal verb is used to reject someone or something? To turn down. Number 9, when you complete a form, you can use both fill in and fill out. This is true. Number 10, how did you that Maria was fired? How did you find out? So was the quiz easier the second time? I'm sure it was. Amazing job with this lesson. So how did you do with all of those quizzes? Share your score in the comments below. And I want you to download this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can download it from my website right here. And whenever you're ready, get started with your next lesson.